To access this virtual museum, the students will be given a link, and after they enter that link, it will take them to a screen that looks like this one. Each of these individual areas that you see throughout the presentation are their own exhibits. So the students will be able to navigate, zoom in, zoom out, play videos, look at pictures to view the virtual museum. So for my virtual museum, I chose to do the Charlotte Trail of History, which is located in the Little Sugar Creek Greenway, which is in the middle of downtown Charlotte. This greenway is 16 miles long, and within that greenway, it features 10 various statues, and these statues are of influential figures of the Charlotte, Mecklenburg area, and also North Carolina. So to start, the students will go and look at this overview, and you see here, this is a picture of the Greenway. It's beautiful, very foliated, nice trails that are paved, and all the statues along the way are beautiful bronze statues that had amazing artists that sculpted them. So a little overview is uncover the vibrant history of Charlotte through a captivating trail adorned with bronze statues of influential figures. Delve into the stories of 10 remarkable individuals who shaped the city and championed equality for over 250 years. What enduring legacies do these trailblazers leave behind? Join me as we explore the rich tapestry of Charlotte's past and the extraordinary people who defined it. Now, the students can navigate any way that they would like. However, I'm going to go in a counterclockwise orientation. So to start, we see these two gentlemen here. And this is Thomas Sprat and King Hagler. So King Hagler is the one located behind him, and he is resting his hand on Thomas Sprat's shoulder. So Thomas was one of the earliest settlers in North Carolina, and his father was a plantation owner in what is now present-day Fort Mill, South Carolina. King Hagler was one of the greatest chiefs of the Catawbas, and the only chief to ever be called king. They were both friends and leaders, and together they solved many differences of the Scotch, Irish, and Indian communities. Hagler died via an ambush in 1763, and Sprat passed away in 1757. So the students will be able to zoom in to see closer details. And I also have featured a video of the statues themselves. As you see, there's great detail that was put into these statues. You can see the ripple of fabric, and that will help students understand the attire that these people wore during their time alive. And it's very easy to navigate. So here I'm highlighting the bronze statues, and these statues along the trail represent 250 years of history of Charlotte and the fight for equality and justice in the area. So all these people had some part in fighting for equality or justice. Next, we move on to the Thompson Orphanage and Training Institute. So here in the middle, we see Edwin Augustus Osborne, and he was the first superintendent of the orphanage, which was founded in 1886. Alongside him, we see 3 children sitting. This orphanage allowed for children of poverty or children that had parents suffering from illness the care they needed, and it also taught them valuable life skills because it was nestled on a 40-acre farm, which is also the campus. So through their time at the Orphanage and Training Institute, they did things like tending to vegetable gardens and milking cows. And today, the Thompson Orphanage and Training Institute is still in existence, and there's actually multiple locations, and it is under the name of the Thompson's Children Home, and it's a leading provider of clinical and preventative services, and also provides children of abuse and nurturing environment. And here we see one of my artifacts, which is a picture of some children playing on what seems like a merry-go-round. You see that they are all very happy, and in the background, you see the orphanage behind. And here we have another video link that will take you to a closer look of the statues. Once again, amazing detail in the clothing, facial expressions, and hair of these people. You can see that he was truly passionate about what he did through this statue and his closeness with the children. As we continue on, we have Thaddeus Lincoln Tate. Here is a picture of him, a portrait from when he was alive. And here is the statue that is featured along the trail of history. A little bit about Thaddeus Lincoln Tate. He was a prominent African-American businessman and a civic leader in Charlotte. But that's not where he started off. He actually was a barber, which is what set him on his path for greatness because of the people that he catered to were prominent local civic leaders. Tate had a significant impact on the African American communities because he founded institutions and businesses that served and employed African Americans, which during this time was not something that they were given that kind of opportunity. And as we continue on, we have Dr. Annie Alexander. So Dr. Annie Alexander was a resilient and dedicated, because of her resilience and dedication, served as a reminder of the importance of the breaking of barriers and the advocating for inclusivity in the medical field. So how exactly did she pioneer work in medicine and impact healthcare? She was actually the first licensed woman physician in North Carolina and challenged the societal norms. Some people call her the mother of medicine of Charlotte because during that time, women were not allowed in that field. So she paved the way for future generations of women in medicine. She provided essential care to underserved communities for nearly 50 years, leaving a lasting legacy in healthcare. She had privileges at 2 prominent hospitals in the Charlotte area that are currently still in existence, just under different names, which is Atrium and Novant. And here is another link to a video, and this one shows her statue. And as you can see, she's holding a medicine bag to show the importance of her impact on medicine. As we continue on, we have William Henry Belk, and you see his statue, great detail. And in the back, you see the Charlotte skyline. And if the name Belk sounds familiar, it should. It's because he was the very Belk of the Belk retail stores that we're familiar with. William Henry Belk started with a small town store in Monroe, North Carolina, and expanded to open retail stores in Charlotte and other southeastern communities from the late 1800s to the mid-1900s. His innovative methods and business partnerships turned Belk stores into a leading retail enterprise in the Southeast. He, along with his wife Mary and their 6 children, lived in Charlotte. And John M. Belk Endowment was founded by his son, John, in 1995. As we continue on to the next person highlighted in this exhibit, we see Julius LaVaughn Chambers, and here you see him accepting an award from the university in 2001, which he was not only a student there, but later became the chancellor there. And before we read his little blurb, here is a picture of his statue. We see him with his briefcase in hand, walking. So Julius LaVaughn Chambers was a civil rights leader and lawyer, and he helped shape civil rights law, winning landmark Supreme Court rulings and advocating for desegregation and voting rights. Despite facing violent oppositions, he left a powerful legacy and devoted himself to education. Following that impressive career in law, he served as a chancellor from 1993 to 2001 at his alma mater, North Carolina Central University. He died in 2013 at the age of 76. And I decided to highlight the diversity and unity that this trail represents. So the trail of history represents unity and diversity, reflecting in Charlotte's rich historical narrative. As we continue on, we see Jane Wilkes, and this outfit that she is wearing was actually represented in a museum here in Charlotte as well. So this could tie to another museum visit. So Jane Wilkes, also, her full name is Jane Renwick Smedberg Wilkes. The bronze of her statue is by Wendy Ross, was the president and later secretary of the Church Aid Society of St. Peter's Protestant Episcopal Church, helped establish Charlotte's hospitals serving both whites and African American communities. And she had a big role in serving the African American communities and making sure that they received equal medical privileges. She served on the boards of St. Peter's and Good Samaritan Hospital and contributed to their development, also involved in the funding of Charlotte's first orphanage, the Thompson Children's Home, which is one that was previously spoke about in this presentation. So here we have another link to her statue. Once again, amazing detail to the fabric and facial features and hair. Then we continue on to the next person featured, which is Captain James Jack. And here we see his statue that is featured in the Trail of History. It is in a fountain type area, and he's riding his horse, which is a big part of his history. So in the wake of the massacre at Concord and Lexington, which happened on May 19th, 1775, the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence was born. Imagine the passion and urgency that fueled the Patriots as they drafted this historic document asserting defiance against King George III. Their unwavering resolve and courage paved the path for self-governance, inspiring a legacy of rebellion and freedom. These bold acts of defiance forever changed the fate of Charlottetown and Mecklenburg County. Captain James Jack rode his trusty horse all the way through the night on May 20th, 1775, to deliver the Mecklenburg Declaration. And he rode his horse from here in Charlotte to Philadelphia. Then next we have James B. Duke, another name that should sound familiar because it is the very same Duke Energy and also Duke University. James Buchanan Buck Duke, along with Dr. Gil Wiley and William Stately Sr., founded the Southern Power Company in Charlotte. This venture evolved into Duke Energy, a powerhouse in the energy sector. But did you know that Duke also played a pivotal role in the transforming of Trinity College into Duke University? His legacy extends far beyond electricity, shaping both education and philanthropy in the nation. And that wraps up the walk through the Trail of History. So a little bit about the author and the resources that I used, and I am the author. The resources I used was the Trail of History website, which is a wealth of knowledge for learning about these individuals that greatly impacted this area. I myself am born and raised in this area and was a third generation of my high school. And even my family is rooted in history because of a general store that we still currently own and operate in Croft, North Carolina, which barely is a town because it's so small. I believe that it's important that we keep history alive for future generations because I've seen over the years how this place has changed and it's not as rural as it used to be, and the buildings and industries are taking over. But if we keep the history alive of these people that dedicated and put in a lot of work to make it what it is today, we can help future generations understand how we got to where we are. So in conclusion, a assessment that could be done following this browse through this virtual museum could be that the students could break into groups, and each group could be assigned one of the influential individuals that they learned about in this virtual museum, and they can create presentations that go farther into these individuals' contribution. And or they could also be given a assignment that involves more of a worksheet type thing to assess what they learned from this presentation. That concludes my virtual museum, the Charlotte Trail of History.